just want to reiterate what a wonderful family you have, your wonderful parents. I mean, I've seen you and Todd in action. Most people have not. And you put up with an awful lot. Even now, you put up with an awful lot. So, why? Because you're conservative. You're a person of faith. You don't go along. And this is one of the reasons I know you like Donald Trump. I know there's a number of candidates that you like. Give us your take on that. First of all, I would say we have enough candidates, wouldn't you?
No, I think so. 17, I think it is. Yeah. And speaking of taking some heat, I respect those who have gone through and are going through the fire, and that's part of the appeal, I think, for me with Trump. Besides that, he's speaking truth. He's talking about the issues that people need to hear about, and he's saying things that the average American would love to be able to say if they had a platform. But he, having built himself, even this campaign, not a bunch of high-paid consultants yet trying to shape his message or anything. I respect that, and again, that's an appeal. But I mean, I think that your listeners who helped win back the Senate, I think they join me in being fed up with the status quo, Mark, and that is why we're going to be really aggressive, and we're going to do our own homework and not listen to the mainstream media when it comes to kind of telling us what it is that these candidates stand for and what their record is. We're going to do our own homework.
What do you make of this Republican Congress? I mean, their achievements are very minimal. Don't you agree?
That's the thing. We win back the Senate, we send them to go do a job, and then nothing changes. The borders still aren't secure. They got in line and they voted for Obama trade and still have Obama. All these things that we fight so hard for as just the electorate, trying to help them to make the right decisions to get America on the right track, and yet they blow the opportunities. And in the real world, in the private sector, in business, you can't get away with that. You get canned. You're gone if you don't capitalize on every opportunity to put forth, the best solutions and apply the best solutions to get things done.
Yeah, I don't know. This seems like such common sense to me. And yet when we have a senator or two who actually stands up and confronts this institutionalized corruption, and that's what it is, of course they turn around and they trash the heck out of this guy. I mean, what do you think of Ted Cruz in the U.S. Senate so far?
I think Ted Cruz is great. I'm very thankful for he having taken such a stand on Obamacare and many other issues, and really being able to shift some of the national debate about the issues because he's so out there. He's been really bold. The problem, though, is that we've had opportunities provided the Republicans, and again, working so hard to help them get elected, and then to see that collectively they're not accomplishing anything. They're not undoing what Obama has done to this country, and that gets frustrating for average Americans.
Our first battle, isn't it, is to break the stranglehold that the entrenched Republican ruling class has on the Republican Party, because right now, I don't think the Republican Party stands for much, and limping into a general election where the left is all hyped up, with their usual issues and so forth and so on, we just can't afford to nominate another rhino. So at some point, we're going to have to narrow the field, support 3 or 4, maybe 5 at max. I think that's too many. And sometimes at some point in the middle of the primary season, not wait till the end of it where they pick us off, cherry pick us, and then, Bush slips through or something like that. I'm not saying you have to agree with me. I'm just curious of your opinion on that.
Yeah, that's some more common sense you're applying there. In fact, one of my kids actually asked me that, saying, why is it that all these candidates are lining up? They're going to knock the crap out of each other in debates and in ads and everything else. That just hands the ammunition, of course, to the left. Why can't we, conserve some resources and energy and information and everything else, and then use it to blast the left and actually win the election? But when you talk about your suggestion there of kind of a namby-pamby, go along to get along, milquetoast type Republican Party that we have right now that's in control, it starts at the top. And I know that you've been quite bold about your call there for changes in the hierarchy, if you will, of the GOP establishment, how else will we change what's going on in that agenda within the Republican Party unless we change from the top down those who are calling the shots?
Would you ever consider running for office again, whether it's the Senate, whether it's governor, whether it's president or something of that sort? Is that something you flirt with now and then, or you're done with it?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I certainly love my freedom right now. Oh, my goodness. It's heavenly to not have to, for instance, not have to do an interview with somebody I don't want to do an interview with. That's why I was happy to talk to you. But, yeah, certainly I would not be opposed to running for office at some point.
Might you run for the Senate in Alaska?
Well, we have 2 Republicans in there now. One's a rhino.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, doggone it.
All right.
So, I don't know. I don't know what position it would be if I were to give it a shot. But, in the meantime, I'm just going to try to get good candidates all across the nation elected, state offices and national offices. As you say, Mark, we don't have time to mess around, and we don't have time for this go along to get along type agenda on a state level or on a national level, because we've just spun too quickly out of control, and government has too quickly become such a burden on every aspect of our life. If we don't act now, then where's the hope for some change that is necessary and that is a saving grace for this country?
I remember, and you've done this many times in many places, when you went to Wisconsin to show support for Scott Walker, the governor, who was under brutal attack by the public sector unions there. He beat them back 3 different times. You were very helpful to him. He'd make a good president too. We have a handful of very solid candidates, don't we?
Absolutely, and that's why I want to speak positively about each one of them. They do have their attributes. Yeah, Scott Walker is another one, and man, what a foe that is when you're up against the unions. Most governors have had to face that with the public employees union especially. And you don't make any friends when you take them on just to do the right thing for your state. Walker is a great example of what it takes and how great the success is. One of the ramifications of his and results of his success is people are rooting for him to become the president.
There's so many of them, we can't go through every one of them, 17, or I'll be doing a Mark Levin-a-thon here like Jerry Lewis for the next 25 hours. But I know you know those individuals in particular, and you know some others too. It's disappointing, though, isn't it, when you, and to a lesser extent me, we back certain candidates, they promise us they're going to do the right thing, they go to Washington, we never hear from them again.
Yeah, well, to a lesser extent, no, I don't think so. You're very, very powerful because you're smart. That is aggressive in your message. But talk about disappointing. Yes, and that is why people become apathetic about their government. They decide that it doesn't do any good to be out there knocking on doors for a candidate, giving them your hard-earned money and expecting them to just govern the way that you campaign, fulfill your promises, and when they don't do that, it's a real deflating atmosphere then that we're living in. But people can't lose hope, and that's why we're going to keep working extremely hard. Well, we have no choice. If we love our country and want to save it, we're going to work as hard as we can. But part of that working hard is to make sure that people know we have good candidates. There is a lot of hope in this whole lineup, and we just need to, when the time comes, unify. No candidate is perfect. We need to unify behind he or she who will represent the conservative ideals most appropriately and beat the Democrats.
I want you all to know out there, Sarah Palin didn't ask to come on my show. I asked her to come on this show. She's got plenty of other things to do. Governor, I want to thank you. Now, if people want to keep in touch with you, where should they go?
They should go to sarahpac.com, and our PAC is working really hard, vetting candidates. We love finding underdogs. We love finding people that are wanting to run or are running for office, and they're not on anybody's radar screen. And we like going in there and giving them a little boost, if you will, even if it's the curiosity factor that people will start tuning in to the candidate. We like doing that because like Ted Cruz, he was one of the underdogs that we got to help, and that's what we're doing at Sarah Pack.
sarahpack.com, and you have a wonderful Facebook page as well. Governor, my best to your husband and your family, and be well, and thank you.